Welcome to the Life in Michigan podcast. Life in Michigan is more than an online magazine. We share the stories, experiences, and vibrant personalities that make the Great Lakes State truly unique. In this podcast, we bring you inspiring, heartwarming, and sometimes unexpected conversations with people who call Michigan home. From the rugged beauty of the Upper Peninsula to the bustling creativity of Kalamazoo, we'll cover the stories and define what it means to live, work, and play in Michigan. We first met up with Jeff Wood and Ryan Malott at GIG, the Art of Michigan Music, and it immediately felt like a conversation we wanted to continue. As the hosts of the Mitten Music Podcast, they have spent the last 4 years talking with bands, venues, and behind-the-scenes folks who keep Michigan's music scene moving. In this episode, we turn the tables on Jeff and Ryan and talk about their podcasting journey, what they have learned along the way, and how they are expanding their mission to tell even more Michigan music stories. Ryan and Jeff, how are you guys doing?
Great.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, thank you guys so much. Well, actually, we met for the first time at GIG, the Art of Michigan Music, back in November, when you guys were kind enough to come out there and talk to all the artists and talk to us and everything. And we were like, we got to talk to you guys and get your story instead of having all the questions directed our way.
Yes.
I was telling my kids today, I was like, guys, me and Mr. Jeff are doing, they know we interview people all the time. I said, this is the first time we're getting interviewed, and I might be famous after this. And they said, you're already famous, Dad. And I was like, thank you. I mean, I'm not, but I appreciate it. My kids think I'm famous, and that's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably, there's not every parent that, your kid could go to a podcast and go, this is my dad or this is my mom, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Not
so
every
you are
kid's...
in a famous in a way.
Yeah,
and my kids are embarrassed. They're like, oh my God, no.
My kids love it. They cannot wait to see which bands or people come over. They know everything's set up. We've recorded some of their own things, and they love it to death. But I'm like, yeah. They tell their other friends. The other friends are like, what do you mean? Microphones to do what? Why would you do that? They're like, oh, you don't get it.
Awesome.
It's cool. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, we should probably let folks know they're listening what this is all about. So Jeff and Ryan, you guys are from the Mitten Music Podcast, and as we said, we met over at GIG. But maybe we start with what is the Mitten Music Podcast, and how did it get started, and what inspired it?
Sure, Ryan, I'll start, and you can add in, I guess. So we've been doing this for about 4 years now, a little over actually. But the idea started just before COVID. And so Ryan and I go to church together. I knew he was big into music. I know he had done some podcasting, and I had done a kind of an unusual podcast before. And I brought the idea up to him. He was like, yes, it wasn't even where it is now, what we thought it would be at this point, but it was more like, hey, let's talk about local Michigan music. And so then COVID hit, and actually in hindsight, I wish we kind of would have started this during COVID, but we didn't. And we waited till after COVID was kind of over, and then we got things rolling, and they kind of started slow, but it's been a lot of fun. So really, it's just been kind of a hobby. It started out like, hey, let's just do something for fun.
Yeah, for sure. It was like a happy little surprise when the night we started chatting about it, and it was an ongoing conversation. But yeah, I'd been into podcasting since like 2011 ish. A lot of it just personal, like trying to figure it out, not with much of a goal. And then slowly wheels got turning, and a few other people were asking me, well, could you like produce a podcast for me? You got the equipment. Can I pay you? And you record it, you publish it. So I kind of did that for a while, a little bit, just like here and there, people that just wanted to try it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Jeff's podcast experience was just so different than mine. It was just cool. I'm like, I think we're on the same page, man. And it just worked out. And the progression we've made every year, the planning gets better every year. And now we're at a spot. lots of people I hear, they'll say, "Oh, I have a podcast." So I tried doing a podcast and it fizzles out. I mean, I think literally the average is like someone that tries a podcast does it for like 4 or 5 episodes and they give up. Yeah, and we're just over 100 now. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
Pretty
That's
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
That's congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. I launched Fans with Bands during the pandemic.
yeah.
So yeah, it was just because I couldn't do any photography, so I was like, well,
Yeah, you
might as well
had to
just
stay
talk to
busy.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you guys have like a background in audio, doing it? I mean, you just kind of came in it just like this sounds cool and I want to do it.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan, you probably got more, experience in the audio aspect. But actually, I learned when I did my first podcast, which actually is a children's story podcast called Stories from the Woods. I did that, and that was my first entry into doing audio or podcasting at all. So I learned a lot, and that was a couple of years before we started this. So I just kind of learned that, and once I got comfortable with the podcast concept, I was in. I wanted to do more.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just kind of figured things out as I went. And like, I got my first microphone and a mixer and it was just garbage junk. I didn't know the difference between a dynamic and a condenser microphone. So I had the wrong one and it was echoey. So I spent a lot of time editing that. And I just like technology, gadgets, toys. I love music. So I just love this kind of stuff. So it's hobby kind of deal, but I've translated that to my day job. We've started a podcast at my work and
Oh, really?
the owner of our company liked it so much. We were remodeling our office space and he gave me a bunch of money to build a podcast studio there and outfitted the whole thing. So we have a professional looking sweet thing at my work for like some marketing stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been good stuff.
And I definitely lean heavily on Ryan for doing the audio piece of it, making sure to get all that organized. And then, the first 2 years we just did audio. I mean, that's what we did. But I think what's a little different with our podcast is we kind of jumped into the video realm. And really the first few times we did it, it was just kind of trial. Let's see how this would complicate or not complicate things. And it does add another layer and a little more complication. But so we've been doing the video aspect of it the last 2 years, and different forms of that. Some of that on site, some of it remote, like talking here, and some in Ryan's studio. So
Nice.
we've had to learn some different things along the way.
Yeah. Crazy.
Do you find that when you're doing, you've done different formats and um, being in person is better than the using like what we're doing right now is using Zoom to record it, but what are the advantages of being in the room, which like
I think for us is just the more connection with the people, right? So we got a chance to meet you several weeks back, and the in-person connection just goes a long way. But we did a lot more remote interviews this year just for the ability to cover more, and especially across the state.
Yeah.
But we lost, you lose a little bit of that personal connection. It in some ways, I think the video piece is a little easier because it's all being recorded for you, and you do use some tools and help you out. When we do it live, we've tried different formats there, and there's been some definite challenges with doing it in person, especially like how do you position the cameras and get the right shots, and that adds a more complexity to it, where the remote piece is a lot easier to do that. But we found that the personal connection part is something we love the most. So we prefer that if we can, but now we have the flexibility to do either.
If you compare some of our episodes that are remote versus in my little studio here, you can see my passion comes out a little more when people are here. It's just, I don't know if it's I'm getting more animated, I'm asking more questions. It's just it's just that personal connection you just don't have necessarily right through a screen. So that's why it's awesome that we actually got to already talk with you guys in person. That was perfect. So now it's just like, it's cool. We've already done that one. So I still have that feeling here. But a lot of times when you're meeting someone for the first time and it's like one of the only times you might meet them over a computer. It's just not quite the same. It's still great. It's fine. But for myself, I feel a little more passionate in the moment when we're all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree. We've been on, I mean, we've been on a few podcasts, yours one of them. But there is something about that energy when you're with when you're with a group and you can feel the energy in the room, and you can kind of sense body language from the person that's interviewing you, like, oh, they're leaning in more closely here to me, like they're more in, like you pick up the vibe as you're the person being interviewed. So
For sure. I think that's one of my sixth senses, being able to read and engage with someone mainly when I'm right in front of them. I feel like I can do that pretty well. So it helps me, and I feel better, and I can speak better, and I can ask better questions when we're all together. That's what I think for myself.
I would agree.
Yeah.
And you guys have probably found this too. The remote interviews, there's as much as for us, the video is pretty good. At the same time, sometimes it's a challenge. There's more technical things that you don't have control over what your guest is bringing as far as their audio.
Yeah.
In our case, what their video setup is going to be.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always go in our favor. So, but we I guess it just presents another challenge, and we work through it and we learn. But yeah, ideally, if we can be in person, we want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because we've done some interviews where there's multiple people in a room, and they've got their phone, and so like one person be way back, and you can what was that guy saying? And the guy's really on top of it. It's like, oh my god.
I think we did one interview, and it was maybe 7 or 8 people in the band, all huddled around a laptop, all together in a room, but it was just a laptop with a speaker and the laptop mic. And yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, I wish that guy in the back was a little bit closer, but I mean, only do what you can do.
Oh, yeah. So you guys have talked to a wide variety of Michigan musicians on your show. Like, was there a moment early on when you thought like this thing is really starting to click in, that you felt comfortable with what you were doing?
Ooh.
Yeah. Maybe we take that in two parts. One, I think, is we were surprised when we first started how easy it was to get guests on our show. And we actually reached out to some, I would say at the time when we're a nobody, we didn't even have a website or anything. We reached out to John Sinkovics, if you're familiar with him, covers local spins in West Michigan. I would call like a huge industry expert. And he was our first guest, and he said yes in a minute. And then we had Patty Bershela on, we had Gasoline Gypsies, we had several others. And I couldn't believe it. Was like, but once you start getting into and you start learning, you're like, why wouldn't they say yes? Like they want to talk about what they love to do. And if somebody asks them to talk about that, like it's a no-brainer for them. They're not at that level where they're probably getting asked by, you get to, Kid Rock, Eminem, anybody
Strings.
level, those people, right? It's a little different situation, but everybody's loving to talk about what they're doing. And then I would say that when at least for me, when realized like this was important to musicians, like was when we started getting reached out to be a guest on the podcast, which I was like, wow, people are asking us to be on there, be a guest. And so that kept us, I think that moment, it gets you excited, and you're like, hey, people do care about this and want to talk about what they're doing and appreciate what we're doing to try to promote them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, our very first episode, it clicked for me. I just felt comfortable the entirety of us doing this, and it's always like, okay, how can we just make it a little better? What else can we tweak? What else can we add? What else, and that all takes time and everything. But
yeah,
I've been digging it since John came over that very first time. It was awesome.
So along those lines, like what was from the very first episode to now, would have been a couple of, I guess, key learning moments, things you just have taken away from that, that's like, yeah, we should, like, I wish I had been doing that from the start, and now I'm doing it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
I'd say definitely the video. At the time, we didn't realize how helpful of a tool the video could be, especially when we're trying to market ourselves or share on social media. when you have video and you can get those clips and you can share that stuff out, and Jeff has done a phenomenal job of identifying the clips, getting the little subtitles on there, something short and quick, like some poignant thing an artist might say, or deeply profound, or like we really liked, or to help us talk about something else. Getting those clips and sharing it out, we're just getting. I wish if we would have done that from the beginning. I just wonder, how far along we'd be today. But I do think adding the video really did some things. And I also think that after the first year, we replaced the little dinky Behringer mixer I had with an actual a Zoom PodTrack PA music and interface, and it's immediately sounded 1,000 times better. And like, so those are two for myself on the technical side. Those are two things that I thought. But Jeff might have other ideas too.
No, I agree with you on the video stuff. I think that doing the social media, as much as it's sometimes feels like a lot to keep up with it, and we'll probably be pivoting a little bit on that next year and different approaches, but that has allowed us to reach a lot more people. In the day and age of short form media, it's a quick way to get ourselves out there where I feel like, I don't want to say the trend is downward here, but podcasts, somebody will listen to 30, 40. I mean, actually in the early days, we were doing over an hour. We had one, I think, said, okay, we got to slow down. We went to like an hour and a half. It was 3 hours.
3 hours with Jacob. Yeah.
It was crazy, but we've really scaled that back down. I will say that's another piece. I would say shorter conversations is something that I wish in the beginning we would have done, potentially, and then video. But all that said, that's all part of the learning process.
Yeah.
And if we didn't know anything at the point when we started, like what was gonna reach the audience. So we just started somewhere, and we didn't even know if we'd be still doing this after a year or two. So yeah, those are just some of the things I think.
Jeff just hasn't kicked me out of it yet. That's all. He hasn't gotten too tired of me.
Yeah, can't do that, Ryan. I did one solo interview. There's only been one, I think, and it was a remote interview. Ryan, I think something came up last minute for you, or you didn't feel good or something. And it was really odd to do an interview without Ryan, because it's really strange. It works out really great. We have a great chemistry, and it started from day one. Like the first interview we did, just the way we balance each other, and as far as asking questions, and maybe I'll ask a couple questions in a row, and then Ryan will step in. And it's like, I don't feel like I got to ask every single question, and I think it works both ways. We both know when to kind of jump in and say something, interject. The flow is just great. I can't ask for a better co-host. Like and the way our personalities are, that helps. Like we're not the same type of straight person. So I think that helps a ton with how our conversations go. Ryan brings tons of energy and I love that and excitement. And
yeah.
he asks better questions than I can on certain things, and I can ask questions about certain things. So it just really goes really well.
And Jeff brings the structure and organization, because without Jeff, these conversations would be a mess. We would never get to a point on anything. We would just literally be chatting about how green the grass is outside and how funny it is to us. I mean, it's bonkers.
So I guess that's kind of a lead into another question is like, what does your process for behind the scenes look like? Scouting your guests, prepping your questions, just shaping your episodes, or thinking about like, here's our schedule coming up. Is it just like how how do you do the schedule to make it feel more balanced?
I think at some point, Jeff consolidated us to be organized where it's like, okay, Wednesday nights is going to be Mitten Music night, whether we have an episode to record, or we're just talking about the future, or we're doing some sort of paperwork stuff, or we're brainstorming ideas. Because it was kind of hodgepodge, text messages, emails, all over the place, and I can get a little scattered in that way. But he kind of organized us, so it went like Wednesday nights I'm thinking about my Mitten Music stuff, no matter what we're doing, whether we're recording or not. But kind of harping back to a little bit ago, trying to scout out bands and get those interviews and get conversations going, we got way too lucky, way too quickly, where that's never really been difficult at all. Like it got to the point where we would, brainstorm every once in a while a list of who would I really like to get on, who would Jeff really like to get on, how are we going to tackle getting a hold of those people. And lo and behold, some of these people are actually contacting us. And like when we have someone on our list and they come to us first, we're like, whoa, we made it, man. This is sweet. But I will say Jeff has really helped us organize that way to get to that point.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Ryan. I mean, we reached out to a lot of people we wanted to talk to, especially early on. And that was kind of our driver. A little bit selfish, but at the same time, it's like, we want to interview people and you're interested to talk to. So we started that way, and then it just kind of ebbs and flows. I mean, there's been times when we can do a flurry and we'll do a bunch of interviews and then put those all together and store them up and kind of plan them out. I prefer to be a little more balanced if we can get there, but sometimes it's tough. You got availability of people, and I think this year was maybe a little bit thought we could go a little further than we want. Like I had a goal after like the first couple weeks of the year. I'm like, okay, let's do an episode every week.
Wow.
And we did hold to that for 75% of the year. And then it got to the point where it was going to be a little challenging to get, enough, and didn't quite work out 100% that way, but we still did 40. We're going to end up having 41 episodes, I think, this year.
41 out of 52 weeks, Jeff.
Yeah, I know.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
But with that said, I don't know. I think it was a little too aggressive because it did force us to push a lot at times. Yep. It was maybe a little too much. And then that's why, like, towards the end of this year, it's like more, we don't have to do one every week. It's okay. And we can do a couple a month, and maybe we go back to that or whatever. And now moving into next year, we've got, I think, a better plan and a cadence where I think we're going to still be able to do one a week. But we've got a little bit more that we're going to build up at one time, and that'll go over multiple episodes.
Nice. And then there's the whole interview day or interview night, typically the evenings, right?
Mm-hmm.
We getting the band or the artist or whomever it is that we're going to talk to, getting them over to my house in the suburbs of Grand Rapids. I have spent all the time, setting up the cameras and the mics, and we've tried different furniture, and I'm getting into lighting and trying to learn how to use lighting a little bit better and setting all that stuff up and, spend the time to prep, knowing that it's my living room in my house and I got to kind of take it all down so my family can live here. But I've gotten so lucky where, my kids and my wife, they kind of gave me the space down here that we use. So over time, I kind of got to leave a bunch of stuff up, and it was just like full-time studio. And now the kids are getting older, and my oldest is 13. So, they'll have friends over and they want to sleep down here and sleepovers and hang out down here and check out my record player and stuff. And now we're at the point where I like the direction we're going for next year, where I can kind of pack up my gear and make it more mobile. And I can give a room back to my kids to use a little bit, but so it's worked out awesome. We got lucky in that regard for sure.
Yeah. I appreciate Ryan so much and his family for allowing us to be in his house.
They love it.
For the last 4 years, so many weeks of the year. It's been great though. It's been an opportunity for me to actually get to know his kids a little bit. And I talk to him every time I come over and chat with him a little bit before we get prepped and the guest comes over. So it's fun.
That's pretty cool. So you kind of alluded to changes for 2026. So what are those changes?
Yeah, so I think we kind of alluded to them a little bit, but we're gonna we've done on sites before. So we have done some travel moments a couple times. I think a couple years ago we went out east, and we actually went up to
our first video episode was on the east side with Haskins.
Yeah.
That was first. That was that weekend was our first time trying out video. It was terrible. It was like a GoPro and an iPhone, but that's the first. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had an opportunity to go up to Traverse City with the Accidentals invite us up for their Fam Grove event. And so that was another one where we traveled and did some things. And so this year, actually sparked by Michael Belcom over at Oddfellow Concert Lounge. We interviewed him earlier this year, and there was a moment he said in the interview, he's like, "Yeah, well, the next time we talk, you're gonna be here, and we're gonna we're gonna set you up, and we'll hook you up." And I don't know, I think he was half joking, but that kind of sparked an idea. It's like, hey, let's go on the road. All these bands, they go on tour, right? They go on the road. So we're going to try this thing out, and we're going to go and hit up different locations, including Gig was one of those. It was actually the first one that we did, and that's going to be queued up for next year. And then we did hit Oddfellow Concert Lounge. So that's going to be another one. And then we're working on the plan for the rest of the year, but we're going to probably hit, let's just say 10 locations or something like that. And we'll hit the bands. We'll talk to all the bands. We'll talk to the venues, or like you guys, we talked to you about the event of Gig and what you guys are up to. And so that's kind of the goal, is we're going to set up shop one day for that show. And then the benefit is if there's music, we're going to see the live music. We're going to try to take some footage while we're at the venues, and kind of layer that into our episodes, which typically when we do our episodes now, there's transitions between the person talking, and we do a little bit of that. But now we want to kind of overlay that with some other visual aspects to make that video a little more interesting and dynamic.
Wow, cool. That sounds awesome. Yeah.
I'm
really
excited
cool.
that we got to be part of your
that's awesome.
for the new format.
Yeah.
Some of it was on accident, but with you guys, it was on purpose. So it was great.
So let's talk about, you guys were at Gig, the Art of Michigan Music, which, if anybody's listening to this podcast, if they don't know what that was, I'm sorry. I'll give you a link in the show notes. But how was your experience? And
you got some Dennis
I got to meet some of the coolest artists that I've ever met at Gig, and I spent money, and I got all sorts of goodies. That was it was a highlight of my year, was at Gig. Whether we were interviewing people or not, that didn't even matter. The coolest artists that I never knew about, that I know about now. I heard so many stories and learned so much history about, especially some of the older folks that had been artists from like the 70s, and I was in heaven, man.
Yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, what I actually wish in hindsight is we were so packed with interviews. We actually didn't get a ton of time to be out in the gallery for a lot of the early, part of the day. I mean, we did get chances to go out and see all the artists and see their artwork, which was great.
All this
stuff. For all of you that can't see Ryan, he's holding up handfuls of stuff that he purchased. Well,
I got stickers, I got CDs, I got a deck of cards, I got some fake Pringles. I got all sorts of stuff, and I bought some artwork too. But yeah, it was my jam.
No, it was a great event. I mean, I think, and one, I want to say thank you to you guys, because you guys did an amazing job putting together and helping us get things organized. Like this set like the gold standard for how we're going to do on the tour, because we talked to you guys got us connected to all the photographers, the graphic designers, so many more in between. And we were able to have conversations with, I think it was close to 13 people that day, which is by far a record for us. And it was all great. Everybody was super cool, great human beings. And like Ryan said, their artistic background is just amazing. There was a lot of things we learned that day for sure.
Yeah. And we've done some like Sounds of the Zoo in Kalamazoo, the music festival there. Yeah. So we've done that 2 years, and that was kind of our practice entry into for 2026 we'd love to do some music festivals. And what we learned by doing it with Jennifer at Sounds of the Zoo, setting up outside, how it all happens. But we were kind of just like, oh yeah, the bands, they might know we're here, or they might see these guys with microphones. So we would just talk to anybody that walked up to us, which is great. But with you guys, it got a little more focused, where it's like, hey, we're all on the same page. Let's have some time slots. Is there a time slot that any artist wants to sign up for? We can all just expect that's when it's going to happen. A lot less of us running around trying to get someone's attention or hoping they see or come by. It made everything so much easier. It was a lot busier, and we actually got tons more accomplished that way. So that, like Jeff said, the gold standard of just planning it out like that and just connecting with them beforehand. Oh my gosh, it was awesome.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I think having them aware, I mean, so many people are a little nervous, like a podcast, like,
Yeah.
oh, like, what are they going to ask me about? Like,
Yeah.
I think having a heads up that they're going to be there, they're going to want to talk. It's only going to be for like 10 minutes or maybe more, but it's not going to be scary. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I think they can settle down a little bit before they go off and have headphones and a microphone in front of them, and
Yep.
they can get used to the idea that it's going to happen. I think that's key.
Yeah. And I think that's the other part that was helpful, is that we were able to send a lot of information to them ahead of time, ask them for information about themselves, help us prep and all those things. So yeah, it is kind of the way we're moving forward in this next year. And it's been an easier way we've already kind of got our template of, okay, when we contact the venue and we want to work with them, here's what we're kind of hoping to go for. It might not be 100% the same, but it'll be close. So
Yeah, that's a great idea, because I think there are so many stories that kind of get missed, and especially at those festivals like that. Where you've got all these different people that are either part of the show actually performing, or they're behind the scenes folks, right? And when you're able to talk to all those folks, you kind of get the full story behind that festival. So I think that'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to listen to the interview you guys did, because I really enjoyed talking with you guys when we were there, sitting there. Just felt super comfortable and easy. Like you guys had mentioned, your repertoire together is very relaxed and easy. So I just like, oh, what the hell? Let's just start. Let's chat. So it was really cool, and I'm looking forward to hearing the artists, because some of those folks, like Brenda mentioned, they they like being back. They don't want to be up front because that's not their gig. They just want to stay back. They're totally, creative, awesome folks, but being in front of a camera or being in front of, behind the microphone, I don't want to do that. So it's fun, I think, to be able to kind of get the insight, I think, that you guys got with those interviews. I'm interested to hear those, just because it's cool.
Yeah. And our goal is, I'm this is another difference between Jeff and I. I almost never come prepared with a list of questions. I'm more of a creative mind, and in the moment is when things pop for me, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time. But I kind of want to stress to people before we talk to them, it's like, we're not going to this isn't an interview where we're just going to rattle off a bunch of questions. We're going to ask some questions to get the conversation going, and we're just going to see where the freaking conversation leads us to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Jeff's also kind of paying attention and keeping us somewhat within bounds, so we don't go too far off the rails. And then he'll ask a cool, interesting question that kind of sticks us back on. So it's more of just a free form thing rather than a mega structured, like, we're going to ask you 10 questions. Here's the questions. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
yeah, it works well. I mean, and so it's good to hear that you guys felt comfortable with us, and the conversation we had with you. We had felt comfortable with you guys talking with you, but I would say 95% of the time when we talk to someone, within the first few minutes, especially somebody who's even more just like you said, Chuck, some people just get really nervous about that. They usually come to ease pretty quickly.
Yep.
And I'm glad we're able to do that. It's not like we're doing some kind of magic. I mean, we're just trying to have a conversation with somebody. Like that's our intent, is a casual conversation. And you tell us about what you're doing. And once they start getting into what they do, and they get excited, right? And they want to talk about it. And that's the fun. It's just getting them at ease. And usually that happens. Sometimes it happens pre-conversation. Like we'll have and that's why the in-person is important. If we can get in person and talk to them for quite a bit before we get going and settled in, they're already kind of put at ease. The remote one's a little more challenging. It takes a little longer to get them settled in, but
Yeah. Yeah. When you were speaking, I was just thinking of one of the kids from Jackson College. I think his name was Jay. Uh, I remember because I saw him before he was going to talk to you guys. He was like one of the first ones I
Yeah, he
think
was
to
the
talk
first,
to.
the very first one.
And he was like kind of freaked out. And he was like, and I didn't really know him. I had just met him that day. So I'm like, well, just it'll be fine. It'll just be relaxed. And when he came out, he was all smiles. He's like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, it was great. So I'm like, oh, good.
He was a perfect example where I think he just wasn't quite sure what to expect walking into it, and I think we very quickly set him at ease. And it took a few minutes of talking to like where he was like, okay, I see what these guys are doing, and it was fun. He was a cool dude. He was great.
That's
I'm
cool.
so happy that we were able to have the students from Jackson College participate in gig this year. I think, just having them there being excited about this experience, but I think back to like my when I was in college and the experiences that really like impacted me, this would be one of them, right? You get to go be with the professionals and they're all treating you like professionals. They're professional artists, even though they're at Jackson College, right? They get to go sit in on a podcast and people are going to say, "Tell me about yourself," right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We put stuff about them in the program. I mean, like it it elevated them and made them, gave them a little insight of like what their career could look like if they choose to follow it, right?
Yeah.
I education is a huge part of my family, like teachers all throughout the family and my wife's family and everything. I actually was asked by a local high school here in the Grand Rapids area to go speak at an AV class, first hour, and I brought my all my stuff and we did a mock interview, and they were adding podcasting to a portion of their curriculum, and they were kicking it off with me just showing them real life what podcasting is, and we kind of talked about podcasting in general and just the basics of interviewing people. I had a freaking blast doing that, and those kids were so cool. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So where do you think podcast? I mean, you mentioned a bit ago in the interview here today that podcasting's kind of on a tail end kind of piece. I mean, I don't think it's going to go away, but what do you think is going to, like what will be if you could look into a crystal ball, what will it evolve into, do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't know that it's on the downslide. I just think
It's very saturated.
it is. One thing I did read the other day too, and that's I'm excited because we're already doing this, right? Is the video podcasting is becoming actually on the rise. So, and that's I think partly because of platforms like YouTube, um, and Spotify does offer video now. So that's a thing that I don't think Apple Podcasts do, but
No.
and that's really, um, we hit Spotify and YouTube are two of our biggest platforms. I mean, obviously, if anybody wants to just listen to audio, they can, but that's on the rise. So I think podcasting will still be around. It's just the video aspect will be up. I do wonder, like the 3 hour podcasts. I mean, okay, the Joe Rogans and stuff, like that's a very limited, I think, audience
Yeah.
for that. I think there's not too many people that are willing to list that long to a podcast, especially on the frequency that those are put out on. So I think the shorter conversations are probably more of the direction, but that's just my.
Yeah, I agree though.
Yeah. Well, not that Joe Rogan's gonna be listening to, but like, I don't know. That guy's only huge because of who he is, his name.
Right.
Otherwise, like, who the hell wants to listen to that guy talk for 3 hours? Nobody.
Right.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And he was I was listening to a lot of him when I started getting into. I was like, well, if he
Yeah.
can do that,
Right.
and I would listen to think behind the scenes kind of things. And his producer, he had Brian Redband at the time. Like I would listen to what they would do in how when they first started out. I was like, this is so cool. And over the years, it just he got off the rails, but.
Yeah.
That's what I was like, I can do that. I could because he was friends with a lot of the people he was talking about. Like,
Yeah.
I can talk to my friends like this. I think we have conversations and stories that people might want to hear. But if not, it's fun telling them and recording them. And I have a treasure trove of stories that me and my friends have recorded that I'm going to have forever. And I can't wait to share them in 40 years with my friends. Be like, hey, remember when we did this thing, man? It was so cool. I know it's 2.5 hours long, but it was a riot, dude.
I mean, one thing for us though, I think we've obviously we build our foundation on a podcast, but that's not really where I see the vision for Mitten Music to be in the long run. Like podcasts will still be there, right? That's always
Yeah.
going to be there. But we're looking and trying to find different ways to really support and promote Michigan music. And I've been thinking about this even in the last couple of weeks, like creating an ecosystem for Michigan music and whatever that looks like down the road. But the podcast has been a great way for us to get introduced, ingrained in the music industry, and now we want to kind of expand and do some other things. It's still a hobby for Ryan and I, so it's not really our day job, but there's a lot of ideas in my head spinning around and what things we could do, and just trying something new here and there and seeing where that goes.
Yeah, that's awesome because I feel like there are lots of great people in Michigan music. I mean, that's a huge passion for me. It's just, I grew up in Michigan with music, and it's been in my life, since I was little, and from music stores to whatever. So I just feel like there are times when folks discount the level of talent that is in the state. I think sometimes people discount, even if they're playing music, the sense of community that's there. And so I think it's important, what you guys are doing in terms of getting, talking to those bands. Like you said, they want to be talked to. They want to share their story. They want people to listen to their music. They're creating original music. Half the time you go to some place and it's just, nothing against cover bands, but uh, you know, I like Tool and I like, whatever, but I want to hear what this person can make, right? And so it's cool that you guys go to the extent of trying to, tease out all those different kind of music makers right here in the state. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent.
Oh,
A lot
man.
of talent.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I used to think of myself, I didn't think this, but in retrospect, I was kind of elitist in the music I listened to, and I would dislike bands for certain reasons or in dumb reasons. So, and I never really none of those bands were Michigan-based bands. And local music was like, yeah, local music's whatever. But man, as soon as you get into it and you start digging around, now I have some of my favorite bands are freaking 2 hours away.
Yeah.
And then at one point I discovered one of my favorite bands actually was in Grand Rapids. I never knew it. And they were before we started the podcast and interviewed them. They were one of my favorite bands in the Valley Below. I loved them to death. Turns out they freaking right in Grand Rapids. They were the first band we interviewed. I don't know why or how they said yes, but it just blows my mind. So many artists in Michigan are so freaking good.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And one way we've been promoting and talking about something different, right? We do on socials, we do a song of the day post. So, and crazy is enough, and I'm 100% positive the year will end this way. Is we have not repeated an artist all year.
Wow.
So, and recently I just did a post on social media, just kind of noting that we at this point, and it was amazing how many people commented on that and added other bands that I still didn't know about.
Mhm.
And it's crazy. It's just like
Yeah.
endless, and it's from
Yeah.
all genres. It's not like
yeah.
we don't focus in on hard rock. I mean, Ryan and I similar taste. He's a little younger than me, so he's got a slightly different offset of what he listens to. But we're hard rock, classic rock for me a little bit too. But those are kind of our go-tos. But yeah, I love all the music that we're getting exposed to that I would never have done without covering all this music.
Yeah, that's the best thing, I think, at least for me. But when you were mentioning like music and those interviews that you've had, so that kind of dovetails into a nice question in that have there been interviews that have like changed the way you think about the Michigan music scene?
There has. And I think for me, it kicked off when we started talking to more than just bands and artists in that regard. When we talked to Josh from Local Legends, the recording studio, that opened my so I can geek out on gear and gadgets and technology and stuff, right? So that was something I was like, yes, this is Michigan music too. These bands and artists go somewhere to record. and then talking to venues and how a lot of times, we learned how difficult it can be running a venue, but just their perspective is a lot different than the bands because they see lots of bands just like
Oh, for
we've seen
sure.
lots and talked to lots of bands. And so it's out of the artistry a little bit more in the business side, but it's also at that the point where we kind of felt I felt like we connected with a place a little bit better in Michigan music when we started talking to others that support the bands and artists like your guys' selves, going to gig. That kind of thing for me just expanded and gave us our home. We're like, we're one of these guys. We're the supporters. We're the promoters of all the artist, the artistry and everything, no matter what shape or form or what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a long-winded way to answer.
No,
your
it's good.
question.
That's good. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of calls we've kind of talked about that, but like Sonic Coast, we talked to them. That was another one.
Oh, yeah.
Lori Stratton,
Yeah.
just so many different people that are helping. That's what I love about our podcast. It's not just focusing on the bands, which it's the majority. I mean, that still is the majority of the bands because there's so many out there, but it is covering all those different aspects. And I would say the other thing that I don't know, there's one direct interview, but there's lots of people we've talked to that are in a genre that I probably wouldn't typically listen to. But after we have a conversation with them, I am that much more willing to listen to their music just because now I have a connection with them. And I think that's an important part. Like now I like care about you and care about what you're doing. And I want to hear and listen to it, even though I might listen to a little bit to prep right for that interview. But now I want to go to a show. We try to support most of the guests that we can, go to a show. Some of them, it's tough. It's challenging to get to them, but
Yeah.
we'd like to go and support them in that way as well. So yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Well, this is my cue to let you guys know that we're almost
Holy
to
smokes.
yeah, it's
was
almost
fast.
been an hour. Can you believe it?
Nope.
Is there anything you wanted to, give a shout? Anybody you wanted to give a shout out to? Anything you kind of wanted we didn't quite talk about long enough?
I definitely would love to give a shout out to Brian Maloney at Sonic Coast, Lori Stratton, um, and the bands Carbon Decoy and Overdrive Orchestra.
Awesome.
I've learned a lot. We've talked to all those guys several times. We've done more than just an episode. We've gotten to know them and become friends with them. And I value their friendship so much.
That's cool.
That's what I got.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would echo all those people, but then also just throw in there. I mean, John Sinkovics, like we said, we've interviewed him a couple of times. He's so easy to just, if you want to reach out and talk to him, he loves the scene. And he's kind of ones we're looking to strive to get to, right? He was kind of the beginning there in West Michigan. Jennifer down at Sounds of the Zoo, she's a huge, she love for music and wants to get everybody rallied together as well. And then, not only just Overdrive Orchestra, but Chris Kranick. We've interviewed him 3 times, one as a kind of a solo. He's over at WYCE radio. And so we've talked to him from that aspect, and then his band Overdrive. But he's an awesome person in the music scene. Like he's promoting a lot of things.
And I was this close to taking guitar lessons from him. And we decided it wasn't going to pan out, but he was willing. We talked, and I almost started taking guitar lessons from him.
Oh man, that would have been awesome. He's a great guitar player,
right?
Yeah.
I'm sure we've missed some others we could shout out.
Oh yeah.
But,
I
think just the support of even the musicians, like just constantly saying how they appreciate what we do, and I think that just keeps us motivated to keep doing it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we just have one last question, but it's a question for each of you, so you'll both have to answer. That is, what is your perfect Michigan day? So where would you go? What would you do? And I don't know if you enjoy beer, but beer or beverage would you finish your day off with?
Ooh. I would say somewhere that I would have to drive to. So not something in my backyard, or just so we're right next to Grand Rapids. Not even, I love Grand Rapids, everything, but I've really liked and enjoyed time spending with Jeff when we get to drive to the other side of the state, We get to see, we're paying attention a little bit differently than if it was, driving for work or driving with our family to vacation or whatever. It's a little bit different now. And we're kind of paying attention to some of the towns we roll through, and maybe ones we've never heard before. And we're taking pictures, and we're learning a little bit about Michigan in a different way.
Uh-huh.
To me, that is the jam. And where we end up at the end of the day, like, I'm not much of a beach person, so I wouldn't say I'd be like going to a beach anywhere, but I love a downtown. I love checking out, like, okay, where's the record store? What's the coolest record store on here? Oh, I hope they got a couple record stores. That's pretty sweet. So driving somewhere, taking in something like that, finding a record store in a city maybe I've never been into, meeting some people, and finding a brewery or something like that. Nothing specific, anything. Like that is I love doing that kind of stuff. Awesome. And for the drink, man, you know what I really like, and I haven't had this, and I'm going to say this because I haven't had it in forever, is Hop Slam. I really like Hop Slam. So I'm going to say that one.
All right.
There you go.
Very cool. Jeff, how about you?
I mean, I definitely would say, I don't want to call a specific spot per se, but a perfect day in Michigan would be finding a place to be in nature. And there's so many different places that it's hard to like say, I want to go here every time. Anywhere in the state, there's so many different places. And I'm thinking summer, obviously in my head, like how much better it is to be outdoors. But getting some time outdoors and listening to a little music would be a big bonus. If we can catch that, especially outdoor music. There's just something different about outdoor music in Michigan. I mean, I grew up near Pine Knob, and I went there like it was the mall. Like the tickets were cheap back then, and it was just easy. Lucky. Like you could just go get. Sometimes they were free, or sometimes they're $10. And me and my friends would go there and hang out. So, getting some outdoor music, and then it'd be great to finish that off with a good black Perrin. Or Perrin Black.
Yeah. Perrin Black. Yeah.
Perrin Black.
Like my go-to.
Jay, our friend Jay Green makes that beer.
Oh,
He's
yeah?
the brewer there. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Him and Andy are over there brewing up the beers. We do this thing called Day with Jay. So he actually had us out to Grand Rapids. So went to Vertigo Records and the Cheese Lady and Perrin and the I can't remember the one cider place, Puck.
Puck Cider.
Yeah.
Which so they also bands play there too.
Yeah. So he took us around. So we've been doing Day with Jay. We just did one in Detroit. So Jay,
that's cool.
It was a dangerous day with
dangerous
Jay.
day because we had Jonathan Danger Cole. So he's the lead salesman for Old Nation. So he was there. Yeah. So going on a beer crawl with a bunch of brewers is definitely an experience any beer lover should do, because it's completely different, because the brewer comes out like they're like, oh, that's there's oh, Jay's here. Oh, right.
Jay's here.
That's cool. That's awesome.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Jeff, we got to hang out with these guys more.
Yeah, I know. Seriously.
There's one venue. I don't know. Have you been to? It's over in Paw Paw. They have a winery. Is it where we saw?
We saw Kevin Bacon there. The Bacon Brothers.
What?
Okay, I'm familiar with it. I have not been there.
Warner Vineyards.
Warner Vineyards. Yeah,
Vineyard.
It looks like a sweet venue.
It is.
It is.
They got a really nice setup there. Yeah, we went to see Kevin and his brother. Shoot, can't remember his brother's name. Feel bad because I think his brother's the one that's really the music writer. And actually,
and Kevin, come on, let's.
Kevin's good.
Some money.
You
need to make some money, Kevin. I need your face.
Kevin brings the fans, and he makes the music.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and
it was actually really good. They were really good too. So
shockingly good.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh wow,
yeah,
pretty good. Anyway,
So it's crazy. Well, guys, thank you so much for being on the Life in Michigan podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. It was a blast.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Take care.
Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to catch every episode of Life in Michigan. Help us spread the word by rating the show sharing it with your friends, your neighbors, your family, your mail carrier. Share it with everybody, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay connected by following us on our website and social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, take care and have a fantabulous day in Michigan.